is case number 23-478. That is an International Property Maintenance Code / zoning violation for a person that's been living in the garage. He was cited last March 17th using the accessory building garage as a dwelling. On July the 28th, this court entered a compliance order indicating he could not live in, sleep in, dwell in, recline in, cook in any garage or shed or accessory building on the property. He was to disconnect the electricity by August the 8th, 2023. He was also supposed to remove a wood burner that was located in the garage, again by August the 13th, 2023. By August 13th, 2023, he was supposed to board up the garage to prohibit entry. And if not done within the time frame specified, he was required to demolish the garage by August the 28th, 2023. Do have 4 photographs from Mr. Hayden from this morning. It appears that the wood burner is still being operated, that the junk vehicles are still located outside on the property. There are fresh tire tracks and smoke coming out of the wood burner. So it's a very apparent that Mr. Ledyard is using this garage as a residence.
Mr. Ledyard, wherever you are, Mr. Hayden,
yeah,
would you
right
please
here.
raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
All right. I have Ms. Sieber sent me 4 photographs, which we can't screen share with the defendant because he doesn't have a good connection. But tell me what you found on your recent visit to this property.
I can't get video.
This morning I was out there in reference to the garage being used as a residence. The chimney is still there. It looked to me that there was light smoke coming out of it. It had been maybe put out or it was burning out. There is definitely a mark in the snow where where a vehicle was parked when it snowed last night. That vehicle was gone and there was tracks leaving. So that leads me to believe that they're still residing. I don't know if it's just him or if someone else is. At one point, there were 2 people in. The other case, as far as the junk vehicles, there is a truck that's on a trailer that's been there for a little while and another vehicle that was unlicensed. Mr. Ledyard did
They're all licensed.
a lot of the junk, and then the neighbors complained that he brought more in. I went back out.
Yeah.
And I believe the photos I took on December 12th that we submitted for the show cause show the vehicles and the junk by the barn and behind the barn.
And the photographs, these were taken today?
Those 4 were taken this morning at about 8:45.
That's a lot. 8:45, the trailer was gone. Yeah. We welded
All right.
and got that out.
Mr. Ledyard, who's there with you?
My nephew, John, he got me on the phone. These vehicles are legal, plated. The extremes on my trailer was plates. But I can show you registration, insurance, and everything. The junk that's left here is my lawnmowers and my hot tub, firewood. I removed the other things. This morning was the last load I hauled out. The reason why that red trailer was not removed at the time is the tongue was broke, and I got it welded last night. I removed it early this morning, along with a bunch of other stuff out here.
So the trailer with the damaged truck on it is gone?
This is my trailer here. The stuff with the junk on it is removed and gone with other things. The extreme is on my trailer that's plated. The other vehicles here are plated and insured.
All right, well, there are 2 trucks. A big dually, looks like a Chevy dually, black. Is that still there?
That is my nephew's. He just pulled in. Now he's in a flatbed.
All right, so the white Chevy truck.
S10? Yeah.
Yes, is
Here,
that
I can show you
yours?
the plate number. Yes.
Holy Wells is on.
And that's
Yeah, we start a
plated?
couple of these up. Yes. The plates were stolen and I turned that in, and the plate number, here it is.
Well, I don't need to know the plate number here, but,
Okay.
all right.
I got it
So
in
the
the back
black
windows.
truck belongs to a visitor. The white truck belongs to you. The big question is, I prohibited you from living in this uninhabitable garage. And, what's the story there?
It was a bait shop. It does have a full bathroom. I do, power's being turned on either tomorrow. Everything's the meter, all that's done. And I'm just waiting on, everything's been put in electrical wise, and they had me do one more thing for it. Other than that, it runs through a new septic and all that. I have really no place to go.
Are you,
I'm running off a what's that? It's a Generac. You can't hear it run, but that's what I'm using. So they hooked the power up. Got new meter box and everything up. Just waiting
All
for
right,
them
well-
to come back on.
they're not supposed to hook the power up. Who's hooking the power up?
Well, when I talked to the ordinance Mike Hayden, he asked me why I didn't have power. So I run everything that I was supposed to do, paid the township and for the breakers and all that, and I had to go to a 200 amp service. So I completed that this week. They said I could have power to build on it.
Has the electrical inspector looked at any of this?
Yes.
And who is that person?
He's got 100 and some different counties, and he comes up here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he had me move it over here to the fence because my meter is on a pole in the neighbor's yard. So I had to get a meter box, new breaker box, which is all put in now. And I'm supposed to call him, the guy in Sturgis here, excuse me, that hooks up puts a meter in. I'm supposed to call him and say I'm complete of what he asked me to do. And my money order and everything's back in the mail with a 200 amp breaker. I had 100 amp. I didn't know I had to have a 200.
All right, tell me about the septic.
It's the septic is put in less than 10 years ago. The well is in a underground. I never had any issues with a well or septic out here. The fire was caused by arson. Basically, my nephew put gas in a kerosene heater. The only thing left out here right now is a slab of cement and the footers that I like to build off of.
That's you.
All right, well, just a minute. Someone just logged in his iPad. Who am I speaking with?
George Letts, Township Supervisor. I'm just here to observe.
All right, well, I'm gonna mute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. But I don't want to hear you. You're speaking while we're on the record in another case, so you're welcome to certainly observe. If we need to hear from you, we'll unmute your mic. All right, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Ms. Sieber, what's your position here?
Your Honor, this building was never intended to be a residence. So
I know it
whatever
was
he
not.
is or may be doing right now is apparently in trying to get it to be a residence. He's using a generator. He's got this wood stove in there that was ordered to be removed way back when, at least once this year. And I believe that what he's telling you is, gee, I'm making this into a livable building.
That's what it sounds like.
It was ordered to be removed. It was ordered for him to get that wood stove out of there, to disconnect the electric, if there was any, and to quit living in it. And he just obviously did not get the message.
Well, here is
I
the
have a
compliance
camper out
order.
here.
In 23-478. I ordered on July 28th, when it was warm out, that no person shall sleep in, dwell, recline, cook, or otherwise use any shed, accessory building, or garage for dwelling purposes. By no later than 10 days after the date of the signing of this order, the defendant shall disconnect the electrical service by removing any and all electrical cord and generator serving the garage, including permanently removing the extension cord running to the neighbor's house. 3, by no later than 10 days after the signing of this order, the defendant shall disconnect the wood burner inside the garage and shall remove the fuel therefrom. By no later than 15 days after the signing of this order, the defendant shall close the garage to casual entry by boarding the openings and doors. The defendant shall not thereafter use the garage for any purpose unless and until a zoning permit and building code approval have been obtained. 6, if the defendant does not effectuate termination of electric and disconnect the wood stove, the effort to retain the garage shall be deemed abandoned and shall be demolished no later than 30 days after the signing of this order. The township zoning enforcement officer is granted access to the property after 30 days of the signing of this order so as to permit him to photograph the property and ascertain the level of compliance. If the defendant has not complied with the provision of this order with the time frame specified, the court will enter an order requiring the defendant to appear and show cause why he should not be found in contempt and punish accordingly. If a contempt hearing is necessary, the court will consider the defendant's motion to demolish the garage and cost to the defendant on the property. You can't turn this property into a garage. You have ignored every single thing that was in the compliance order. And we don't do this just to make people's life difficult. We've had several cases in the last few years where people have burned to death. In
There
this.
are smoke alarms and all that in there, but
Well, you already had a fire. I had two little kids burn up in a house that they weren't supposed to be in. I had a man in Montville die in a fire. And you can't live there and you're in contempt. So the question is, we probably need a better hearing than this, in which case I have the authority to put you in jail and to have the township demolish this building. It sounds
am I
like
allowed
maybe
to
the
bring
left
a
hand.
new camper in?
Well, and I can't even see you. And you're spending money. Now, the order says without zoning approval. Mr. Hayden, are you aware that he's got any zoning permits to do the things that he's doing?
No, there's no zoning permit for anything. Currently, the electrical permit that he has is for a temporary service for him to build a residence on the property. I spoke to the electrical inspector and he said it is not to hook the garage to the service. It's for building a house.
It's not hooked up to the garage.
All right, so there's no electricity in the garage?
They had me remove my camper out here. It was self-contained, and I don't understand why that was an issue. And I had no other place to go.
I'm not.
Whatever I can do
that.
to comply and get this taken care of, I'm willing to do it.
Well, so far you haven't done any of it. But we need a hearing where I can see you face to face. We're going to have a hearing live in person
Okay.
shortly. I have another lady who wants to live in an unheated pole barn with no electricity, no plumbing, and no heat, and freeze to death. I have had other people that where they are because they have nowhere to go. And for more than a year, you haven't made any provision for anywhere to go. But you can't live like this. Let's see what I've got for a date. I read you all the terms of the compliance order and you're out of compliance. You're not supposed to live in that garage. And that's where you're living. I don't care whether it has a septic system or not. It's not zoned for human habitation and it's dangerous.
Is there any way I can get a permit to bring our new camper back out here? It's full contained till we get something built?
Probably not. That's up to the township, but in most instances, you can't site a camper on a lot to reside in. But let me look at what I've got. But yeah, apparently my order from July didn't affect you a bit.
You still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. I have all the forms right here that was sent to me in July.
Roxanne, I've got some difficulties because I'm going on a trip. Are you available to have a continued show cause hearing for Thursday, February 1st at 9:30?
I am Mr. Hayden.
Yes.
It will be live at the courthouse.
Okay.
Mr. Hayden, I would appreciate it if you'd go inspect it shortly before then. What I don't want is you burning up in there between now and February 1st. I don't have a place to put it any sooner than that. But I read you the terms of the compliance order and you didn't do any of the things that I said you were supposed to do. And so I'm going to order it. So you got till February 1st to find out where you're going to go. My only fear is something bad doesn't happen between now and then. It's supposed to get real cold and lots of snow. For contempt purposes, I have the authority to put you in jail for certain kinds of contempt up to 90 days, which would give you a place to live pending warmer weather. If you were to spend January, February, and March in the jail, you'd be warm and you'd have 3 meals a day. So if you like that alternative, that is something we could pursue on February 1st. If you want something else, I want you to start to look for other alternatives and take a look at that compliance order that was issued in July, because you haven't complied with any of those terms. Now, regarding some of the junk, I guess you got it out of there. I'm not sure about this thing on the trailer. The 2 trucks that are there, the black one and the white one, are registered and they're people's vehicles. You have a right to do that, but you can't live here. And we're going to discuss it further live at 9:30 a.m. on February the 1st.
9:30, okay.
That way you won't be standing out in the cold freezing to death. We'll be in here. We can share pictures. You'll be able to see what's going on. And if I need to find you in contempt, I'll have a deputy here that can take you into custody. So you need to plan for some alternative before I see you on February 1st. And you need to look at the terms of that compliance order, the things that I ordered you to do. Because another thing they're going to ask me to do is tear this garage down to make sure nobody lives in it. And as a rule, I don't know what the zoning is in Nottawa Township. You can't live in a camper. All right, I know that you're in a difficult position, so I haven't taken any action today, but we're gonna sit here face to face in a couple of weeks, and that will be February 1st. So I will see you at that time. Do you have any questions?
My neighbors, two neighbors here offered to let me stay with them until I get something up here.
All right, well, that's certainly acceptable.
I can still see my property from there. I'm just,
All
that's
right,
been
Mr.
broken
Hayden,
into.
you might want to have further connection with this electrical guy if they're putting a 200 amp service that isn't out on a pole or something. I'm not sure what they're doing, but if I were you,
I had to
Mr. Ledyard, I wouldn't spend any more money on this project until we determine what course of action we're going to take.
It's finished. I mean, I won't spend no more.
All right, I will see you here in my courtroom, 9:30 in the morning on Thursday, February the 1st. All right?
Okay. Okay.
All right, Mr. Hayden, I think this is your last case.
Yes.
All right, I'll let you go.
Great. Thank you.
Roxanne, I don't know that we need any order other than I will just continue this hearing regarding the show cause on both files for that date.
Okay,
All right, I'll remove Mr. Hayden. And I'll remove Mr. Ledyard. All right, don't go away. Everybody stay right where you are. I'm gonna take these two files out. Mr. Henderson, can you hear me? We're back in session. We're going to be dealing with a zoning violation matter in a couple of files following Mike Ledyard. File 222344 and 23478. So these are both old. So I'm going to again get started. Thank you again for saying hello. These are two matters, as I said, in the matter of Mike Ledyard. Mr. Ledyard is here. The older case, 222344, was a ticket that was issued in December of 2022 for unlicensed and inoperable motor vehicles, RV, scrap, junk, and debris from a burned out mobile home on the property on Nottawa Road. I don't believe it's in the city of Sturgis Township. And we've had some hearings on that. We're here in August, and we entered a compliance order on August 9th of 2023, and I admitted a number of exhibits. Then we're here again on January 11th, and there were still issues of the compliance order. And you'd had some things done. And I continued this to a live in-person hearing today on that compliance order from the summer of 23. In the other case, the newer one, that is a civil infraction ticket in file 23478 that alleged that you were living or sleeping in an unattached garage with electrical cord running from the neighbor's property. And we took testimony on that matter as well. And that matter was also continued from January 11th until this date. Attorney Roxanne Sieber is here on behalf of the township, also their zoning official, Mike Hayden is here, and Joe Wiki, the building inspector, is also present. Ms. Seaver, what's the status here today?
Your Honor, Mr. Hayden did go out and take some photographs on the 30th that I did present to Mr. Ledyard, and I also do have for presentation to the court. There remains unlicensed, inoperable motor vehicles and some level of junk outside on the subject property as of January the 30th. With respect to the living in the garage, Mr. Wiki is actually the zoning administrator and building official. He can give us a little bit of the history. If you recall, there was some issue about some electrical that had been added. I do again have current photographs of that from Mr. Hayden. The wood stove has not been removed. There appears to be a wired cable, an antenna of some sort outside. There is just a hose running to the next door neighbors. There's electrical cords outside, and we did have Mr. Ledyard was ordered not to live there. However, it is apparent, at least from Mr. Hayden's photographs, that there's still at least footprints outside. And while he hasn't observed anybody coming in and out of the building, obviously there's still some level of use for it.
Well, let's go ahead and admit your photographs, and then we'll hear more from the officers. As long as we're here, let's put everybody under oath. Mr. Ledyard, would you raise your hand? Mr. Hayden and Mr. Wiki, do you all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in these proceedings will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Mr. Hayden, why don't you come right up into the witness stand? We'll do this like we're. Would you state your name for the record?
Michael Hayden.
All right, you're under oath. Ms. Seaver?
Yeah, Mr. Hayden, you're the ordinance enforcement officer for Sturgis Township in St. Joe County. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the property located at 69 Ottawa Road is located in Sturgis Township?
Yes, it is.
Can you please indicate what buildings, if any, are on the property?
There is a garage on the property and a more recent shed that was built out behind the garage.
Attached onto it?
It's not attached.
With respect to the history, was there ever a house on there? Do you know of?
There was a mobile home that burned prior to 2022 when I got involved. The township received complaints of the debris. So that's what started a lot of this.
And you know Mr. Ledyard occupies the building?
He had at the time of the ticket was doing that. And then prior to the January 11th, he was seen coming and going with other people in the early morning hours by myself and neighbors.
And there were tracks out there, correct?
Yes,
Like
and tracks in the snow.
Okay. At this time, then you went out and had a look at the property on January the 30th and took some photographs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I've got these photographs that I've labeled A through A through D, and the first couple are two-sided. If I could have you have a look at those, the judge does have a copy. Can you indicate whether those photographs fairly and accurately represent the property as you observed it on the 30th?
Yes.
And what is it that those photographs depict?
These photographs, there are 7 photos showing inoperable vehicles, some junk, and then also debris and a generator around behind the shed and the garage on the property.
Is the generator connected?
It was not connected the day I was there, but there's a cord laying on the ground that goes up to the garage.
And that was on the 30th, it wasn't
Correct.
there? Okay.
That was on Tuesday.
Prior to that, it sounded like possibly you had seen it connected.
Yes, and previously he had an electrical cord running to the neighbors, which he has disconnected, and that's when the generator started.
Okay. Can you indicate what anything particular about that Indiana plate?
The white pickup truck is, the front end is jacked up and it's on jack stands. It has no license plate on it, but in the back window, it has what appears to be a temporary plate that has been written over in marker.
Okay, and what vehicles in those photographs are in violation of the ordinance?
The white pickup truck with no license plate. There is a red vehicle on a trailer in the back of the lot, and then there's a truck parked next to that with a red with part of the front end on that missing.
Okay, and what about are there items of litter and junk still in the yard?
Yes, in behind the garage and shed, there is some items piled up, a barrel and some other buckets, and there's a tire, a hot tub that does not appear to be hooked up, and there's some stuff piled around the tree. It's got tarps over it, so I don't know what was under it. And then along the side of out in front, there is a large hole with what looks to be some type of drainage hose that's wound up in it. I don't know if that's where the septic is or whatever, but and that's on page 1, the very first one.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I request admission of exhibits A through D.
In the front yard there, that big hole?
Yes, it's right in front of that where the door and the boarded up window are. There's a large stone right there.
Yes.
There is a propane tank on the property, but it is not hooked up that I can tell.
Are these all fair and accurate photographs of what you saw on January 30th?
Yes, they are.
Ms. Seaver, are you going to admit?
I would request admission of these first set of photographs that are labeled A through D.
Exhibits A to D are admitted. They're double-sided. I think there's 7 pictures.
In total, that's correct. Mr. Hayden, this particular building has come into question with respect to Mr. Ledyard living in it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and would you please give some amount of history from the time that you issued the citation for living there in March of 2023?
I received complaints that they were living in the area. At the time, there was campers and other things that were being occupied as well. Those have since been removed, but inside the garage, they had a bedroom set up. There was a TV on the wall, a bed set up, dressers, furniture. The wood stove was in there, which was not properly or safely hooked up to code. There were other things that were stored that would be in a storage building, but the day that I had talked to Mr. Ledyard, I told him he could not live in it. They said they weren't living in it. They were just sleeping in it when they were tired. I said, that's not permitted under the ordinance. He was told and had agreed to not live it any longer. I gave him a time frame to do that. He agreed to it. And I believe it was about 30 days. When I went back 30 days, he was still there. So I wrote the citation.
Okay. Was there a kitchen in there?
No, there was not a kitchen. He had microwave, I believe, and some cooking appliances.
Bathtub, a bathing facility, anything like that?
Not that I saw,
Okay. Was it heated?
just with the wood stove.
Okay.
And there was no electricity at the time.
Was there a toilet?
Not that I saw.
Mr. Hayden, did the property owner get the woods burner removed by August 13th, 2023?
No.
Do you know at the present time whether it is still being used?
When I was out there Tuesday, there was no smoke coming from it, but when I was out there the morning of the 11th before court, there was.
Okay, and it hasn't been removed, correct?
No,
Okay.
not to my knowledge. I
Um,
was not able to go inside Tuesday because no one was there.
okay. What about the power cord and the generator? Was that removed by August the 8th, 2023?
It is still on site as of Tuesday.
Okay. Do you know whether he boarded up the garage to prohibit entry?
No, it has not.
Okay, and obviously it wasn't demolished, correct?
Correct.
So you had opportunity then to go out to the property on January the 30th of 2024, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you here this grouping of photographs and ask you if they fairly and accurately represent the property as you observed it on the 30th, and if you will, please indicate to the court what it is that they depict.
Okay. The first one is a picture of the stack that is still on the building.
That would be exhibit 1 for the judge, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And then the second page is a picture of a TV antenna that is hooked onto the side of the building, has the cable running into the barn or the garage. The third page is just a picture of the door where the entry is, and you can see that there's tracks going in and out of it. The morning that I was there.
okay.
Now, what appears to be next to the door is a central air conditioning.
I don't believe that's hooked up, but you can see the wire that's all,
Okay.
I think it's just a condenser unit. Picture number 4 is a propane tank. It has a garden hose laying next to it. You can also see the backside of the temporary electric that Mr. Ledger's put up, which he did get a permit to do. Picture 5 is following the garden hose, as well as picture 6 over to the neighbor's yard.
What's that in the tree, Mr.?
That's a cable of some sort, but over on the fence, you can see the extension cord that was being used, the yellow extension cord on page 5.
Okay.
It is now rolled up. Number 7 is just showing the boarded up front end, so the window there, and that section is where the bedroom was in. Number 8 is the front side of the temporary electrical service. And then number 9 is it's called a age service or something to that effect, but he did get a permit to put that in. It is a temporary service for use on building. If he has a permit, he can use that for power to work on the property. It is not, I did talk to the electrical inspector, and it is not a permit to hook up the barn,
Does he have a building permit to put a building up there?
not to my knowledge.
Okay. Mr. Hayden, at the present time, then it appears that you don't know whether he's living in it or not, correct?
I do not. Like I said, the morning I was there, there were footprints going from the building to where vehicles were parked, and there was tracks leaving the driveway.
At this time, Your Honor, I request admission of exhibits number 1 through 9, which are the photographs that Mr. Hayden took of the property as of yesterday. These would be in the case number 478. I denoted those 1, and I denoted the ones in the
Yes,
other cases.
thank
A.
you. Those are admitted also. They were actually taken on the 30th, Tuesday. But 1 to 9 are admitted.
Mr. Hayden, at this time, is the township willing to remove the unlicensed and inoperable vehicles and the junk from the yard?
Yes.
And is it requesting that the defendant pay the township's costs and attorney's fees, including your costs for going out on the living in the garage and the other violations?
Yes.
You do have a citation pending for the shed, correct?
Correct.
But that is not on
It's
the
not involved in this.
table for today, correct? Okay, are you requesting then the authority to do something with this garage? I mean, can we remove the wood burner? Can we do things to make it safe?
The township's willing to do that, yes.
Okay, all
If
right.
he's not willing to do it, the township will board it up, prevent entry, remove it or demolish it.
Whatever.
Make him stop with it.
Are you continuing to get complaints?
Yes,
Okay.
weekly.
Is it just him, or are there other people in and out? Do you know?
There were 3 people the last time I was there. Neighbors report several, so I don't know what they mean by several.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hayden. What is your cost so far in this matter?
On both cases, my time I believe I sent you was $288.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ledyard, are there any questions that you wish to ask of Officer Hayden?
I boarded up the front door
All right,
last
We'll,
night.
we'll come to you in a minute. I'll hear your side. All right, he has no questions for this witness. All the exhibits have been received. You may step down. You wish to call Officer Wiki?
Yes, please.
All right, Mr. Wiki, would you come forward? Good morning. I guess you're already under oath. We'll go ahead and have a seat. State your name for the record.
Joe Wiki.
Ms. Seaver?
Mr. Wiki, you're the zoning administrator and the building official for Sturgis Township. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And previously, there was a single wide trailer on this property. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Can you please give us a little bit of the history?
The only thing I know about it is it did catch on fire, and then he did apply for a demo permit. I believe after the township kind of got after him a little bit about cleaning the property up.
Okay,
He did apply for that. That was on 11/21 of 22 is when
Okay.
it was issued. Permit number S2237A. That is still an open permit due to the fact of the foundation is still there.
okay, so the foundation that's out there is for a single wide mobile home.
That's correct.
Could he replace and put a new single wide mobile home there?
No,
And that is because the township no longer permits them? Is
that's
that
correct.
correct?
Only in the mobile home.
So the current status of the property is what?
It still has open demo permit that needs to be cleaned up. And as far as zoning wise, he was denied zoning for a shed there.
Okay, now with respect to the existing building out there, can you indicate what that is?
It's just a pole barn as far as I can tell.
Okay, you've
I've
never been inside.
No, I haven't.
Uh, a- As a building official, you can tell the quality of construction from the outside pretty well, can't you?
That's correct.
What about, is it suitable for someone to live in? If somebody put in bedrooms or walls or whatever, would a building permit have been needed?
Yes,
And would you have permitted somebody to put in bedrooms or,
as long as he can meet the minimum square footage and stuff like that.
okay,
There's a lot of things he would have to do to that building to make it livable.
yeah,
A lot of things, which I don't. Very costly.
yeah, do you know what the quality of the foundation
I do
is?
not.
Whether there's a radon layer in there or anything?
I'm sure there's not, it's pole barn.
Okay, what about with respect to the wood burner that's obvious from the outside?
That with permits, he can have a wood burner, but I don't know if he can have that one. He
Okay,
never got permits for that.
okay, thank you. What about with respect to the electrical permit that's been referred to recently?
So he got a permit for an electrical H-frame, which is pretty much a temporary service for like construction and whatnot. Not to hook up to the building, it's just to get power at the site.
That what that is on
Yes,
photograph number 4.
that's, yes.
Looks like a little wood thing. And what's the purpose of that?
It's just to mount the meter to meter base and get an outlet there pretty much to work on site.
Okay, do you know whether there's water service out there?
I do not.
And do you know whether there's septic?
There is an old septic there,
Okay,
but I don't think it's been demolished either.
okay, you don't know whether there's a toilet in the building?
I do not.
Okay. Obviously, you never got permission to put a wood burner in this thing.
No.
Okay. Have you had a look at, you've seen it from the outside, correct? If I show you this photograph from Mr. Hayden, that's number 1. Does that appear to be properly installed?
I'm not a mechanical inspector, but as far as the flashing, no.
Okay.
It looks like there's actually 2 exhausts. There's the galvanized one on the right. It looks like the roof metal was just peeled back. And then there's some sort of pipe that sticks out. Maybe at once it was stainless steel.
I believe that's just sitting there.
Which one, the
The
galvanized?
small one on the right.
Okay, so that's not hooked up to
I
anything?
don't think so.
Okay.
From what I can see.
Mr. Wiki, is the electrical permit predicated on somebody maybe building a house out there?
That's what that's intended for as far as the H-frame and whatnot, but there is no permits other than just the H-frame.
No application for construction of a house or placement of a mobile home or anything out there? Okay, could he do that?
As far as I know.
Under
As long as he
the
can meet
zoning?
As long as he can meet all the zoning requirements.
Okay, presently then, he's not permitted under zoning to live in an accessory building.
That's correct.
And typically, he wouldn't even be able to use it or have it without a house in that zoning district, correct?
It's become a non-conforming lot now due to the fact of no dwelling.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions for you.
That means if he were to own this piece of property and he wanted to put up a pole barn to store his boats or his tractors without a dwelling, you wouldn't be allowed to site a pole barn in that township.
Correct. In that zoning district.
Okay. But it was there with a residence that burned down and that's been left. We've had several of these lately. A very troubling one out in Park Township. Several others where the house was destroyed and what's left is an accessory building. Had another one in Constantine. All right, thank you. Mr. Ledger, do you have any questions for Mr. Wiki? All right, you're free to step down. Anything further, Ms. Seaver?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Wiki, you're appreciated you being here. Can he be excused or you want him to
You
stick
may, if you
around?
would like, certainly.
All right, I know you've got a lot of places to be, but you're welcome to stay or welcome to go.
I've been gone for 3 days, so I got a lot of catching up.
All right,
Yeah.
then you're
He's
excused.
got to stay, right?
Yeah, he's stuck. That's why he makes the big bucks.
That's right.
All right, Mr. Ledger, you're under oath. Do you want to tell me your side of the story here?
But then today,
You can stay right there if you wish, but I want you to keep your voice up.
as of last night, I boarded the front door. The only thing that's setting out back now is a generator. I cleaned that up. Got a pile of leaves and stuff I got to clean up. And I was gonna.
All right, so you boarded up the front door. Are the vehicles gone?
They're plated. Dodge got a plate in the windshield so they can see it. The Chevy, the plate was stolen and they.
All right, I see a
That's
a Dodge, I don't know if that's a Dakota. It has a plate on it. So that's probably a drive-in vehicle. This funky Indiana temporary plate that's written in black marker, you're saying that's a valid plate?
Yes.
I'm not sure about that, but, and then there is a black, I'm not sure what that is. That looks like a real car. There's this red Dodge that's facing us that appears to not be legit. And then there's something over there on a trailer. Are those two plated?
The Extreme is not, it's on a trailer. The trailer is plated. That's a road race vehicle. The Dodge 3/4 ton is plated.
And is the generator still there?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Well, that's just a risk of getting stolen, sitting out there like that, but
I'll have that put in the shed today.
what's your intention here, Mr. Ledyard?
I just found a place of living now. I would like to apply for a permit to put a double modular on the property.
You have applied for one,
Yeah, no, not yet.
or you plan to?
Yes.
You were a little bit late for the hearing, which was fine because I was a little bit late too, but they called and said you were coming from Sturgis. So are you living in Sturgis?
Yes, I'm 66 now. As of yesterday.
I mentioned this when we were here last time. I've had a couple of cases in my career where people died in a place like this. And one recent terrible one where 2 children died. So we take this seriously. Wood stoves and carbon monoxide and wood stove and fires and improper electrical connections and lack of septic and sewer are all things that we take very seriously. I am aware that people are struggling and they're where they are because they had nowhere to go. No one decided, I think I'll live in an unheated garage with no plumbing. It's where they ended up. I have that lady out in Park Township that won't leave her unheated barn. I think we finally got her out of there with the assistance of Adult Protective Services. But I had a man in Mottville, his place burned up. Guy in Flowerfield, the place burned up. He was living on the couch outdoors. No one chooses to live like that. It's just how circumstances leave them. But you can't do this. It's a public safety issue, it's a public health issue, and I don't want to read in the paper that you burned up in there one night. Ms. Sieber, what are you asking for?
Your Honor, if Mr. Ledyard has plates, registrations for the 4 vehicles that were identified, he should provide those to Mr. Hayden. Otherwise, the township would be permitted to remove them after 15 days. And recall, most of these ordinances require licensed, operable, regularly used for their intended purposes. So we may be able to get that proof to the Mr. Hayden. Otherwise, we'd like to remove them along with the junk. He needs to get his generator put inside as soon as possible, because otherwise we're going to request the authority to just take the junk that's in the yard out and to charge the costs to the defendant. We'd like to be able to submit a bill of costs with our fees on it, Mr. Hayden's cost, Mr. Wickie's cost for coming in today, and ask that he be required to pay that to the township treasurer within 30 days or 45 days. I don't have a good solution for him living in this building. He could certainly return it at this point to some kind of an accessory building and store things in it, but he would have to remove all of his accoutrements of living, perhaps with a new place to live. He's got a place for his bed and stuff like that. We just don't know. But
well, it's a non-conforming use. I don't think they're asking you to tear it down, at least at this point. It was in conformance when it was put up. But now you've got a place where you can put all your stuff. Is there an overhead door in this thing, or it's just this entrance door?
There's a slider door.
All right, you said it was once a fishing,
Yes.
a fishing
bait shop, I think
bait
he
shop.
said.
So you got a place where you can actually put the stuff in there. And I wasn't half joking about the generator. Somebody would drive by and see a generator sitting out back and they take it with them. So for your own sake, you need to get that stuff inside out of the weather. But if you were there on a sunny summer day and you were cutting 2x4s, you could use a generator to run your chop saw. But you can't use it to power up this facility. And I don't know what is this hole in front of it?
That was a big locust tree.
A what? Oh, a locust tree? It's not a septic pit or anything?
No, there's a septic out back. My mom replaced that 10 years ago.
All right. And so what you would like to do would be get a permit, put a foundation in and put a double wide there. We're talking probably more than $100,000. I guess there's no reason why you couldn't do that if you could get all the permits. How big is this lot?
There's 2 separate deeds. I think it's close to an acre or so.
How far out of town is it?
Right behind the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, not far out of town. All right. I'm more concerned about you living there than I am the junk. That's easily remedied, but if you're in there, living there, I'm gonna find you're in contempt and I'm gonna give you a place to live at the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department in the jail, because I don't want you burning up there this winter. Ms. Sieber, you may present an order in each case. You mentioned 15 days. And we usually use 21 for the appeal period. So let's recap. You've got to remove all non-conforming vehicles or provide proof to Officer Hayden that they're plated and operable. For example, the one on that trailer is not. And there's cars in and out of there. There's that black Nissan. There's this Dodge Dakota. There's people coming and going, and the neighbors are suspicious. And the entryway has a snow shovel, salt or snow melt stuff there. And it looks like somebody's living there and coming in and out of there. Certainly a lot of the snow is melted, but there's still some on the ground. So the front door is boarded up. That's fine. The wood stove is non-conforming, even if it is a shed. You can't have that wood stove in it. The place will burn up. Looked like somebody just chopped a hole in the ceiling and stuck a pipe out of it. So she's gonna submit one order in the old case, 22-2344, regarding the junk. You have 21 days to remove all that stuff or provide proof that the stuff is plated and operable. I'll put the order for costs in the 23 case. He doesn't need to get doubled up on. But in the 23478, that has to do with the occupancy of the property. You're not to occupy it. That stove, problem is to pull it out of there, it puts a hole in the roof, and then he's got to be up there in February trying to patch that roof. But it's not to be used, and at some point it needs to be removed or brought up to code. You're to get the generator out of there. And the other junk will be part of the earlier case, 222344. Is there a bathroom in that building?
Yes.
So was there, when it was a fishing shed, fishing shop, it had a bathroom in it? Does it have a shower in it or just a toilet and sink?
Shower, sink, stooling.
All right.
Same bathroom.
And that's probably not, I don't know how far that goes back. Maybe it was permitted when it was originally put in there. It was put in with anybody's knowledge, but you probably had two things hooked up to the same septic system, which you can't do in any township in St. Joe County. All right, 21 days on both orders. If you got plates and insurance on those vehicles, share it with Officer Hayden. Are you working someplace?
Not this time.
But you look like you've been working on cars. And so you've been trying to take care of some of these issues?
Last night I removed everything but the generator, and underneath the tarp that is firewood.
Well, you can keep firewood on there, but you can't burn any of it in that thing, or you'll burn it up. All right, Mr. Ledger, do you have any questions?
Just I gotta stop and pay the taxes up and try to get a permit. We found a modular house.
All right. How far are you behind in the taxes?
2 years, maybe close to 2.5. I added it up last night. It comes to $1,400 and I have that.
Very good. You don't want to lose it to a tax sale. Somebody probably like to buy that piece of property.
I'm going to sell it.
What's that?
So I am willing to sell it.
Well, maybe that's the best thing. Get your taxes paid, sell it, and let somebody else worry about it once you get into compliance. All right, at this point, I'm not ordering the building be torn down. I'm just ordering that be secured from casual entry. All right, Ms. Seaver, thank you. It's nice to see you in person.
Thank you.
And I'll store the exhibits with each file.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ledyard, you're good to go. All right, just stop the record. That completes our morning. We'll be back at 2 with some criminal matters and at least one bench warrant. This is file number 241179ON. It's entitled, I believe, Constantine Township versus James Edward Jelinek and others. Mr. Douglas Kuhlman is here as the zoning enforcement officer for that jurisdiction. Also, attorney Aaron Geschwint is here on behalf of the township. And Mr. Troy Shearer is here as a witness. We got multiple phone calls from the Jelineks indicating it was going to be difficult for them to be here today. They were taking a trip or something. And I was reluctant because I'd already scheduled this for this date. The law firm and Mr. Kuhlman was scheduled to be here this date. And I just said, you can come by Zoom. So I can't tell who's here on their behalf. It says James Jelinek. Who is there?
James, I'm James, Your Honor.
All right. So where are you, James?
I'm in Kalamazoo. And Your Honor, I have no idea of calling in saying I couldn't make it or
All right,
something.
maybe I got my cases mixed up. Maybe it was Miss Nickerson. Could you turn your camera on?
Okay, let me see what's up. What y'all just do? Portrait. No. Okay, it should be on now.
It's not, but let's just do the best we can. Mr. Kuhlman, Mr. Shearer, and Mr. Jelinek, I want you each to please raise your right hand. You all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
I do.
All right, Mr. Shearer, you agree?
Yes.
All right. This is a property on Tim Road. There you go, Mr. Jelinek. We've been dealing with this for some time. There is a compliance order in effect. We were last here, same date as the last case, January 25th. The defendant had made some progress, but no permits had been pulled. He contended he was not living there. Set for a review hearing today, May 7th, 2025. Ms. Geschwint was here then, and it's helpful to have the same lawyer that has the continuing history. I looked yesterday to see whether there were any updates in the file, and there weren't. So some appeared this morning. File February.
I do have a paper copy for you if you'd like, for Your Honor.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Mr. Kuhlman went out and did a new inspection on May 5th. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And before I turn it over here, pending the status hearing, an anonymous call is worth the paper it's not written in, but My office has received approximately 6 anonymous telephone calls advising Mr. Jelinek was back living at the property and using a generator. Advised he was staying at the township, came out, he was going to tell them he was just cleaning it up. Did you actually do another administrative search warrant?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
All right, so you got an administrative search warrant on May 2nd and you went back out on May 5th.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. And is this the report of your execution of that search warrant and the results?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Ms. Geschwind, are you going to move to admit that as exhibit number 1 for this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kuhlman, is that a copy of your report and a fair and accurate photograph of the pictures?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
We'll receive this as exhibit number 1 for this hearing, which is 5/7/25 JC. All right, Mr. Kuhlman, what did you find upon your inspection of this property on May 5th?
Your Honor, unlike most inspections, I did this inspection at 10 o'clock at night because the anonymous calls said that he was staying there as you indicated and that he was just going to say that you gave him permission to be there during the day. So we did this, executed it at 10 o'clock at night. Mr. Jelinek was out on the property. He was burning something, I'm not sure what, but there were lights on in the house. When I asked him how the lights were out in the house, he said a generator. I asked him to show me the generator. He took me to a generator that was covered up with a tarp and non-operational. I did not hear any other generator operating, so that's when he told me that he was powering them by batteries. I asked him to show me the batteries. Excuse me. We kind of meandered through the property going nowhere. I finally said, I need to see where you're getting power into your house. I would direct you to pages 20 and 21 of my report. He actually took me to where the meter base of the house is. And he actually said a friend of his, he wouldn't tell me who, a friend of his actually untaped the wire ends of the power line coming to the house and added a cable to that, which then on page 21 reflects where this cable is, or 20 is, page 20 is showing the cable coming down to the ground, and there's just a ready box outlet there that he had 2 extension cords plugged into, and he was running those extension cords back into the house and to the accessory building. He had, again, won't tell me who, but did admit that he understood that he was actually stealing power from the power company. As a result of that, we did call American Electric Power. They did come out and terminate the power up to the top of the pole so that that can't happen again. Once I went into the house, there was a female subject inside the house by the name of Crystal Meadows. Looks like she was drinking some kind of a, excuse me, some kind of a pop and watching television. There was a tower light with 2 lights turned on there. There was an electric space heater in the room. I'm going to estimate the temperature in that room was probably 75 degrees because the heater was working quite well. I did notice another one of the gas-fired wall furnaces that is attached to the shake shingle wall that still had a pilot light running, so it was fully operational. I went into the kitchen. There's pictures in there indicating the kitchen area. On page 24 of my staff report, there's a fresh piece of meat laying on the island of the counter. Looks like they're getting ready to prep for a meal. Page 25 of my staff report shows the refrigerator completely full of food. And on page 26 of the report shows the picture of the freezer with a bag of ice in it and looks like some ice cream and some other items in there. Mr. Jelinek did admit to me, it started out that he said he'd only been living there for the last week. However, the last communication that I heard him talking with the sheriff's department said he had been there approximately at 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks. There is some debris laying out in the ground. Mr. Jelinek is telling me that he is preparing for a garage sale and has been having garage sales. I can only take him for his word at that, but right now I don't have a whole lot of respect for his word. There are 2 vehicles. One's on page 30 of the staff report. The hood's up on it. It's got a tow strap on it. I believe he said he was having to put a new transmission in that one. The other vehicle that we've seen all along through this inspection on page 31 is that white panel truck that's been on the property. That now is jacked up in the front of it, and he indicated to me that he was making repairs on that as well. I did receive some communication that Mr. Jelinek was in the process of selling his property. So I did pull it up on the web and found out that in fact he does have the property for sale. It is actually pending a sale. So I reached out to the realtor, which is Mr. Shear, and asked him if he was aware that there was currently a court action going on with this property. And we were due in court this week. And he knew absolutely nothing about this being in any court action. So I did, on page 32 of the report is
The listing.
a copy of the listing. And then if you go way back to page 64, is actually the disclosure agreement that Mr. Jelinek signed, that clearly indicates that there is no action pending of litigation. There is no violations of any building codes or anything like that. There's items 2, 3, and 11 on the disclosure agreement are clearly a blatant lie in his responses. I don't know what to do here, Your Honor. I'm frustrated with him. He can't tell me the truth. He's defying your orders. He's defying the township. I don't know where to go from here, Your Honor.
Mr. Shear, have you heard the testimony here?
Yes. I
And
just heard
have
it.
you been retained to sell this property?
Yes.
And there's a buyer
Actually have
ready
it
to
pending right now.
purchase it?
Yep.
Did they inspect it?
They want it for the land.
How much acreage is there?
The
I
acreage,
believe it's just a little over 2, Your Honor, if I recall.
2.6, Your Honor.
Well, that might solve it. I can't imagine. Are they a remote buyer from somewhere else?
nope, they're local.
This place is about ready to burn down. It's got a gas fireplace built into the wall that was supposed to be disconnected. And doesn't meet code. It's got a funky space heater in it. It's got unlawful and uninspected electrical. It's amazing it hasn't burned down. There has been a tragic fire on this property. Have you inspected the property?
No, I have not.
How imminent is the closure of that sale?
Can you repeat that?
How imminent is the sale of the property?
The net sale? I'm looking
Yes.
at the contract right now. 100,000.
No, but is there a closing date or anything?
Yes, we are still working on the closing date. It is on or before the next week. So on or before the 15th.
Well, they're buying into a whole bunch of problems.
Yes, and is there
It'd
any
be one
doc?
thing if they just came in and raised this and then scraped the ground clean and started fresh. But if they're gonna try to reside in this house, it has all kinds of work that needs to be done with it to get an occupancy permit.
Your Honor, I'm not sure where this is gonna go, but the power company did indicate to the sheriff's department that they wanted to press criminal charges for the theft of the power as well, so. I'm not
Well,
sure
I
if
was
we're
gonna
see a new case or not.
get into that also. Mr. Jelinek, you are under oath. You have the Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself. This is a civil zoning proceeding, but there is indication there's an investigation of a criminal complaint regarding regarding the way the power is hooked up. Also, it appears that you're in great contempt of most of my orders, which could result in a contempt finding, which could put you in jail for up to 90 days. I think I might enjoy that. So bearing in mind that anything you said could be used against you, and you don't have to say anything if you don't wish to. Is there anything you want to tell me?
Well, I'm responsible for the electric. I didn't authorize it. It was done. And yeah, still haven't gotten the permit. I mailed that, excuse me. I mailed that electrical permit off beginning of January. I've never received it. As far as them heaters on the wall, they mount on any wall surface. The body of it doesn't even get warm. I have been staying out there since the first weekend of May, because I was trying to, I've taken down 9 outbuildings, got rid of 2 cars. There's a boat that was supposed to get picked up yesterday. Hopefully they'll get it today. But the house, it's just the electric problem. There's no other problems, and the inside's getting done too. A new fuse panels going on the inside. I just can't afford to live there anymore.
Ms. Geschwint, what is the township seeking here?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, the township, Mr. Coleman has been lied to, Mr. Shearer has been lied to, this court has been lied to. I think that's all very clear. I think that this shows a blatant disregard for this court's orders. Back in 21, he was still ordered to not reside in the house, and that's when 2 children tragically died in a fire on this property as a direct defiance of this court's order. I would ask that this court order that Mr. Jelinek, within 30 days, pull a demolition permit, have the dwelling demolished. Prior to that, allow the township to enter onto the property and board up the structure and completely seal it off so that no person or domestic animal may exist in that dangerous building. I would further ask that Mr. Coleman be able to access the property to continue to ensure that nobody is residing, sleeping in, cooking in, or dwelling in this structure. I would ask the court that if after 30 days the defendant fails to pull a demolition permit, the township may proceed to effectuate the demolition of the structure on June 15th and charge all costs for boarding up of the property and the demolition to the defendant in any legal means possible as a tax or a lien thereon. And I would ask that the defendant be ordered to pay agency fees in the amount of $375. And further, I would finally ask the court for any civil or criminal contempt the court finds appropriate in this manner.
Thank you. Well, apparently there's somebody willing to purchase this, which might solve part of our problems. The township might not have to go to the expense of destroying the property if a purchaser buys it and either makes it code compliant or tears it down. but there is the contempt issue. And so Mr. Shearer indicates there's a buyer. They might feel differently after they watch this hearing, who apparently has inspected the property. He has inspected the property. And the defendant has been defiant throughout, and 2 children died, and nobody ever got charged with anything. I don't do the charging. And then he's continued to defy this court's order. So I'm going to continue this to allow the potential sale of this property.
Your Honor,
Yes?
I don't know if when I talked with Mr. Shear yesterday, he had indicated that he knew nothing about all these problems and that he was gonna terminate this contract. So I don't know whether that's still the case or whether.
All right,
today
Mr.
he's-
Shearer, is your property purchaser still interested in buying this?
I'm gonna talk to him after this court case and then, give him all the information that I have, that I've learned from here, then go from there.
The search warrant and accompanying photographs have been admitted as an exhibit and makes them a matter of public information. So you can share a copy of that report with Mr. Shearer, and then his buyer can decide what they want to do, if they just want it for the property. But I'm going to do a criminal contempt hearing where we're going to see whether you're in criminal contempt, in which case I'm going to seriously consider a jail sentence. Because of that, I may have an obligation to appoint counsel on your behalf. I believe I'm entitled to order up to 90 days of jail for criminal contempt in this proceeding, but I can't make a summary finding of it. I have to have a hearing regarding that, and you have to have the right to counsel because there's a possibility of a jail sentence. Wednesday, June 11th at 1:30. Does that work for you guys?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have surgery, or you'll be.
My surgery is scheduled for June the 9th. You can give me a week beyond that, that would be great.
How about Wednesday, June 25th? You're scheduled to be here that morning anyway, your firm is. Wednesday, June 25th at 10. Will that work for you?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, can I make one more request that
Just a
if
minute.
somebody does purchase this property, we do need an affidavit. They will take it subject to the demo orders or the whatever current orders the court has.
Well, I'd like to give the purchaser an opportunity to be heard on this. I suspect once they find all this out, they're gonna want to purchase it. Maybe they'll say, oh, we'll wait till the township tears it down, then we'll buy it. But so I'm not committed to that. They have made some improvements on the property. If somebody came in with a proper mindset of getting permits and licensed professionals to do the work and the capital to do it, this could be a nice little place. It's on the river. It must have 5 million gallons of toxic substances on it from all the vehicles that were parked back there. But if somebody wants to buy it, I guess that's up to them. But I suspect what's going to happen is the sale's going to fall through, but I hope not. I hope somebody agrees to buy, and if they do, I'd like to at least hear their position on what they want to do with it. Mr. Jelinek, you don't really care what I say, so I'm not sure what you're going to do between now and June 25th. But for every night you continue to stay there, I'll continue an additional few days in jail. The power's been shut off. You got food in the refrigerator that had to be moved. You got stuff there. Your neighbors are calling in, wondering why nobody's doing anything about it. So we are going to do something about it. And there's an issue regarding raising the building audit for your absolute defiance of the court order and a finding of contempt, which could result in a jail sentence for you or other sanction. So we're going to set the contempt hearing and continued hearing regarding the violations. And Mr. Jelinek, I'm going to talk to the public defender's office regarding their ability to represent you in this matter. You certainly have a right to hire a lawyer. And my advice would be you consult with one, because there's a very solid record that you're in violation of my order and you're in contempt. But there hasn't been a finding. You haven't had a chance to respond. There may also be a criminal complaint regarding theft of the electricity. Your version is somebody else did it, but you acquiesced to it. Well, that somebody else also could be subject to a criminal charge. All of this is further compounded by the fact that you know what happened there and did it anyway. All right. I guess we have your contact information. I'm going to consult with the public defender's office regarding appointment for counsel for you for that hearing. It will be at 10 o'clock in the morning on June 25th. All right. Do you have any questions?
No, yeah.
All right. Mr. Shearer, Mr. Kuhlman can provide you with a copy of that report from his investigation from May 2nd. If your buyer wishes to continue with the purchase, that might solve a lot of our problems. If they don't, I certainly understand why they want to back out from this deal. But
Okay.
it is a nice piece of property if it hadn't been so corrupted. All right, we'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch with you, Troy.
Thank you.